We are live.
Mighty, bro.
All right. Just gonna let the tape run for a second so that we can get a little bit more of the intro music. Bring this in. Go back and adjust the volume down so it's not roaringly loud and completely drowning out. All right. Enough of that. Welcome, everyone out there. Legions. I've lost track. I can't even see all the faces out there in the upper deck.
The millions.
Oh, madam, please. You're too old to be pulling your shirt up in public, please. All right. Episode 10. Made it to 10 episodes, Lou. Some sitcoms don't make it that far. Granted, our budget's slightly lower. Episode 10 of Drinkin Dynasty. We are here. We kind of did this with Ashton Jeanty last week, in effect. Now we're doing it with the rest of kind of the quasi-consensus top 12 rookies by Dynasty ADP. Going to lay out what we think their redraft outlook is, looking at the teams that they landed with. Forest for the trees. What do we expect from them production-wise in 2025? Is that, the be-all, end-all for them in Dynasty? No, of course not. But it does matter. I mean, let's be real. An NFL career is not going to get you to retirement age, legal retirement age. These guys are going to be in the league 6, 7, 8 years. What they do in their rookie year matters. It can help you decide between two players when you're on the clock next week, next month, what have you. And it can inform, what your trade plans are going into the season, during the season, after the season, all that stuff. So anyway, Lou, how are you? How are your fantasy teams?
Oh, great, man. Fantasy teams. The money league ones look okay. The other leagues I play in, as far as Dynasty is concerned, they might need a little bit of love, Luke. I might need to pull off a trade or two to get the ball rolling, man. But how about yourself?
Your M2 team is a contender. Your F1 orphan takeover is feisty. You got Brock Bowers.
Feisty.
You got BTJ. I mean, that's a pretty good start.
It's something.
And I don't know about your other teams. I don't really care about your other teams, but that's good. I'm glad to hear it. All right, so we're going to talk about some football, but you know what time it is. You know what we're doing first. Lou, show the people the lovely, exotic, high ABV beverage that you procured at your local watering hole establishment recently.
All right, so this is from Sierra Nevada Brewery. I'm drinking Optimum. It's a triple IPA. The ABV is 11%. Right?
Knew it.
And you know me, Luke, I usually have a reason why I bring the drink on the show. So, optimum. So, because we tend to draft players on our perceived optimum views instead of analyzing the full picture.
I like that. I am running it back with another beverage from the Manhattan Beer Project, pride of Dallas, Texas. You're not going to believe this brewery's story, Lou. This brewery, what makes them different is they were started by people who love beer. So I'm going to give you a moment to pick your jaw up off the floor because holy shit, stop the presses, adjust the ranks. But also, there was a lady involved. Hey now, that's very
okay.
that's very modern. That's very woke. That's good. I'm sorry, Misty and Carl, for making that joke. That was a poor joke. Please still send me some beer. All right. So I'm going to crack this beer while Lou explains where we're leading off with. We're doing a little bit of a rerun to start off, but we're going to use the number one pick for 2025 rookie drafts as an example for like how we're going to go about dissecting the rest of the guys. So Lou, take us away.
So even though we are Drinking Dynasty, you had the great idea to kind of dive into some redraft thoughts and opinions in some ways into how some of the big time rookies are going to perform in year one. So we're going to kind of drop the redraft rankings through Fantasy Pros and then kind of go over how we feel certain players are going to perform in year one. So should we go right into Omarion Hampton, man, or?
Well, let's just touch on Jeanty real quick, just to give people a feel for like, okay, this is how they're laying it down.
Luke, you said I couldn't mention his name. So I think you should take this one over. I'm going to respect what you said on the last episode. I got my Jeanty fill, so go for it, man.
And then you said it. All right, so we feel, the dynasty ranks, the dynasty ADP for these guys is fairly established. It might fluctuate a little bit here and there with camp hype, but these are probably pretty much the top 12 in most Superflex, rookie drafts this summer. So we're not really speaking to that. We're not saying any of that is necessarily wrong here. We're just looking at forest for the trees, next 17 games. What makes sense here? What is a realistic, plausible range of outcome for these 12 guys on these 12 teams? So, for example, Ashton Jeanty, of course he's the number one pick. Of course, in a very strong running back cohort, of course he's still the one that we're the most excited about. But in 2025, that's a much shorter runway. Like I said, 17 games. What could that look like for Jeanty in year one? I went back and I looked because obviously, Ashton Jeanty's collegiate career is the stuff of legend. It explodes off the screen. 374 carries for 2,601 yards rushing in his last season. Kind of got robbed for the Heisman, but that's neither here nor there. Also caught 23 balls for good measure. So, of course, you're thinking, well, this guy, he's ready to eat the whole pie and then some. Right now, they're going to give him more carries than they have carries. The Raiders are going to have 30 rushing attempts in a game, and somehow Jeanty will have 35. No, I understand the temptation to think that that's somehow going to happen, somehow possible. Let me throw a quick bucket of water on that theory. Bijan Robinson, 2022, his last year at Texas, unquestioned number one running back in that class, the hottest prospect since Jeanty. Had 23.1 touches per game over 12 games that year. His rookie season, that number drops to 16.9. Okay, so that's a huge drop. Jahmyr Gibbs, same draft class, not nearly as big of a drop, but he went from 16.25 touches per game, carries in receptions, to 15.6 as a rookie. But that was really helped along in the later stages of the season by injuries to David Montgomery. Jahmyr Gibbs had 39 total carries over his first 4 games in the NFL, and then got hurt and missed 2 games. So, is Ashton Jeanty, is he going to have a healthy workload? Yes, of course. But he averaged 28.4 touches per game in his last season. He is not going to come close to that over any number of games. That's just not going to happen. Could he see 19 touches a game? 18 to 20 touches a game? Yeah, that's plausible because that's a representative, that's a realistic drop off from what we saw him doing in college. But he's young, he's the future of the position for the Raiders. They're not going to smash his legs to smithereens as a rookie. It makes no sense. So because of that, and the fact that I think the Raiders would be lucky to crack the top 15 in total offense in 2025 as a team, that's best case scenario. That's everything goes perfectly right. I just don't think it's realistic, it's fair to ask him to get into like a top 6, top 7 running back finish as a rookie. There's no need for it. The stars are just not aligned for that. Yeah. So that's a sample, a preview of how we'll go about slicing and dicing the other 11 rookies in this class. Lou, if you care to vigorously object one more time to my Jeanty take.
Let me chime into this, man. So real quick, Jeanty overall rank on Fantasy Pros for redraft is for half PPR is 10. His running back rank is 4. So he's the 4th running back coming off the board. I believe he's right after Barkley. So where I'll kind of combat that on you is I think the Raiders are going to have a much more efficient offense than the team that Bijan Robinson got drafted to. I think who was his quarterback at the time? Was it man? I can't even remember his name. I think he's getting ready to retire.
Thinking about retiring. Had some Heineke.
Ritter.
Yeah.
Yeah, man. So Jeanty's going into a much more stable situation than what Bijan walked into. I think it made more sense to kind of hold Bijan back a little bit on that team than it does to hold Jeanty back on this Raiders team with a veteran quarterback, with Brock Bowers, with I won't say an elite wide receiver, but Jacoby Myers is no chump. I mean, I think it's a much more stable situation, and I think they're out to prove something. Pete Carroll and that staff are out to prove that they can win games and be a competitive squad. So I think it's a completely different situation. So in that case, I could see Jeanty getting a lot more touches than Bijan Robinson. So that's what I'm sticking to. I'm sticking to around that 250 carry mark, man. I think, and 30 to 40 catches.
It's totally in range. That's plausible. All right. So what do the redraft gods? What are the redraft rankings say for Jeanty right now, 3 months out from peak redraft season?
So yeah, that's what I mentioned earlier. So it looks like he's ranked 10, and then 4th at running back.
10th overall, the 10th pick.
10th overall.
Yeah.
You know how we got into that dynasty conversation?
Yeah.
How we got into that dynasty conversation? Like in redraft, it seems like he's going around that range as well. So here on Fantasy Pros, he's going above. Let me see.
Yeah, I don't see him being. Sorry.
Go ahead.
I don't see him being as disappointing as Marvin Harrison Jr. was last year, but I can't say, running backs are just a little more stable, like game over game. But at that price, he's primed to disappoint. We're talking about a rookie running back on a team that's probably going to win 7 or 8 games, best case. So yeah, that scares me. In redraft, no way. In Dynasty, among the other rookies we're going to be talking about, well, let's talk about the other rookie running backs first. But yeah.
Yeah, perfect. So the next running back we're going to be talking about, of course, is Omarion Hampton. His redraft rank at the moment is 53, and he's running back number 20 at the moment, which I think as we get closer to the draft, that might change. But something that I thought was important to kind of discuss is the Chargers offense last season with Jim Harbaugh. Mm-hmm. Their running backs had 463 carries. And the reason I bring that up is one of the main questions for me and Omarion Hampton is the split between him and Najee, because Najee to me was the perfect signing for that team. And then they went ahead and got spicy and drafted Omarion Hampton, man. But that being said, that with 463 carries last season, there's actually a real chance that there's a true split backfield, man, that Omarion Hampton's going to get his touches and Najee Harrison's going to get his touches. But something that my viewpoint's been kind of changing on is I can actually see Najee Harris slightly getting more touches and maybe Hampton kind of going like increasing his role as the year goes, because with that 1-year contract, it's like, why not use Najee Harris? Why not use, utilize him while you have him for that 1 year when he can get the job done? Every year he's been in the NFL, he's had over 1,000 rushing yards. This guy can get the job done and kind of save your rookie from carrying the ball so much. What's your thought process on that?
So we got to keep in mind, and why do we want any Chargers running back, let alone one as tantalizing as Omarion Hampton? Yeah, this is a Jim Harbaugh team. They want to run the football. We know that. We knew as soon as they lost to the Broncos like they did in the playoffs, we knew, well, this first thing the Chargers are going to fix this season is the running back room. God damn. Let's not forget, J.K. Dobbins was back in September last year. He was winning games early in the fantasy season. And then, 463 carries, most of them going through Dobbins early in the season. He turned to dust. So, lessons learned. What did the Chargers learn here? First thing they did was they went and they convinced Najee Harris to come in, and I was shocked. When we found out that it looks like Najee Harris, the Steelers are going to let him walk. I was like, okay, well, he's probably going to have to take like a prove it type deal, 2 years, $20 million, 2 years, 15 million, something like that. I could not believe the Chargers got him for 1 year, $5.2 million. I mean, that's barely starter money. That's fringe starter money. So that was crazy. And then, they throw the first into Hampton. So, I mean, you can make the case that Najee Harris kind of got the Kirk Cousins short shrift of like, no, we're totally into you. We love it. But don't watch this part. Don't watch what we do with our first rounder. So that sucks for him. The Chargers want to run the ball all year like they did last September. That's absolutely what they want to do. You have to think they now have the running backs to do that. And I think it is going to be Najee Harris running point at least to open the season. Because like Omarion Hampton, he's a rookie. The NFL season is long and full of terrors, and they want to keep him fresh, bring him along gradually. Jim Harbaugh Jim Harbaugh likes vets. He likes for his established, experienced players, his most experienced players, to lead the charge. So I think it's going to be Najee Harris a lot early on, and then it's just going to depend on how much can Najee, how long can Najee hold the Omarion Hampton door closed by playing good football, by running for 4.5, closer to 5 yards a carry would be great. Being efficient with the touches that he's getting, he's finally in an offense where that should be possible. I mean, he's playing for his football life here. Not for nothing. He's a California native too, so maybe there's a little bit of a home cooking effect. As far as Omarion Hampton, do we love him? Yes. Am I a little more skeptical than the crowd?
Skeptical of him, yeah.
I'm a little more skeptical, but still, I understand that the consensus is that we're very excited. What's not to be excited about? He's huge. He's fast. He's on the Chargers. But yeah, if I was weighting 2025 production heavily in terms of deciding which running back I would want, I mean it's a false argument with Jeanty because Genty's the pick no matter what. But I would be more excited about Jeanty in 2025 than I am for Hampton. Najee Harris is a real threat.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it's a better offense, but Najee Harris is no. I'm not. I think Hampton puts him away in the end, but when is the question. I don't know.
Yeah, and Najee has shown, and this could change at any moment, but Najee has shown the durability that he's able to stay on the field. I think where Hampton could kind of beat him out is the extra burst, like being able to maybe take one to the house more often, things like that. But Najee is a hell of a running back. Like, you've seen me defend him in our Discord channel. Like, he's not a bad running back. Like, he can get the job done. He can average. Steelers didn't have the greatest offensive line, but with the Chargers, man, he can definitely average four plus yards per carry, man. I think he can.
For sure. And let's not forget that Najee Harris as a rookie caught like 70 balls. He's never going to do anything like that again. But Omarion Hampton, he put up decent numbers as a receiver in college. But I'm sorry, again, he's playing like University of Charlotte. He's playing Kent State. He's playing goofballs. Those receiving numbers are hard for me to fully trust. It's no sure thing to me that Hampton is going to see the field with any immediacy on the high value third down, scenarios, third down opportunities. And then he has to win the goal line battle over Najee Harris. So for 2025 purposes, if you're taking Hampton, like thinking you're a running back away from contending, I think he's more of a high-end flex, at least for the first 10 or so games. I really do. So,
I can agree with that. So, on to the next guy, man. Another one of my favorite players from this draft, TreVeyon Henderson. Right now, his redraft rank overall is 59. He's sitting at RB 22. So one of the notes I put in, similar to Omarion Hampton, it looks like the Patriots backfield only had 327 carries last year between Ram and Gibson. But I will say this: Henderson is much more talented than anybody else in that backfield, man. I know Ram's a solid, shockingly, I know Ram's a solid running back at times, but as far as like ball security, being like a PPR asset, being able to catch passes in the backfield, protect Drake May, like TreVeyon Henderson is the dude, man. But I was kind of writing down in my notes, I can see him maybe getting around 165 to 200 touches, possibly. I think he's going to end up beating out Ram overall. Yeah, so it might not be right away. You might have to wait on it, but he's going to be the RB1 in that backfield, 100%. That dude's too great of a prospect.
Jahmyr Gibbs in 15 games had like 178, 182 carries as a rookie. TreVeyon Henderson can do that. So, 165 carries is really underselling it. All right, this is pretty scandalous. So, I'm not saying it with a ton of conviction. I think Henderson can get close, shockingly close, to the amount of volume that Ashton Jeanty is going to see in 2025. I do, okay?
Okay.
David Montgomery, once upon a time, was viewed as a plus receiving back. And then he got put next to Jahmyr Gibbs, and that part of his game vanished. It disintegrated before our eyes. He never caught another football. That's what is going to happen to Ramondre Stevenson here. It's like, okay, when we had nobody else, you were all right as a receiver. We have a real guy now, so fuck off. You're done. You're not doing that anymore. And that, I mean, this is an aside, but if you got Ramondre stocks, you got real problems. Like you got to liquidate this shit any way you can. This is blockbuster stock. You got to get it sold now before it goes to zero, because the receiving thing, Ramondre Stevenson has never been a very good goal line converter. Obviously, that's what we think he's going to be now with the smaller Henderson. I'm not so sure about that. He's not as good as Henderson. They're not going to want to take this guy off the field. You got to get away from any Ramondre guy left. You got to pray to God that he gets traded to like Denver, which I think is really possible. I think it is. But like if he's stuck in New England, either the Patriots offense has to wildly exceed expectations, which is that's possible, or, and I mean the other angle is like Mike Vrabel is now in town. What has Mike Vrabel always wanted to do is grind teams to death through the run game. So that could prop up Ramondre at least between the 20s. But yeah, I mean TreVeyon Henderson, he's a real threat to take over this offense. We know he is the best skill position player in this offense now. Stephon Diggs, yes, he's a legend.
On receivers or running backs.
Kyle Williams is a long shot to do something. TreVeyon Henderson is the man here now. Ashton Jeanty is awesome, but Brock Bowers is too. And Jacoby Myers has a real role on this team. He is not going away. Everything is potentially available to TreVeyon Henderson. I don't think that's true for Ashton Jeanty. I like TreVeyon Henderson more in 2025 than Ashton Jeanty. I'll say that.
I like it. No, I won't hate on that. I won't hate on that, man. So,
yeah.
I like it.
Spicy, but hey, it makes sense to my mind. All right. Are we on to Judkins?
Let's do it. All right, so Judkins, at the moment, redraft ranking through Fantasy Pros, overall 66, RB 25. I think what we can expect right away, he's going to be the clear lead running back right away. I know they drafted Dylan Sampson, and I love Dylan Sampson, but with the draft stock they put into Judkins, he's going to be either dude or give him the chance to. I can easily see him in year one getting at least. He's going to be a workhorse, so he might be able to get to like 240-ish carries if possible. I think the only thing standing in his way, though, is can that offense move the damn ball? We still don't know who the starting quarterback is going to be. And as I dug in and done more research, let me see. I don't think I wrote Judkins down for 240 carries, but I don't think the Browns' entire running back room last year had 240 carries, if I'm not mistaken on that. I don't know if you can look that up real quick, but the offense potentially struggling is a real thing, without knowing who the starting quarterback is and if they can keep on the field.
Yeah, my gut right now is maybe we're making more out of the quarterback situation than we really need to. Like, yeah, sure, the Deshaun Watson situation has been absolute nightmare fuel and it's been a debacle. When they've had to start other guys, they've generally been okay in terms of enabling the other players on the offense. I mean, certainly not lighting the world on fire, but obviously Flacco comes in and he powers Amari Cooper to some legendary stat lines, box scores. Jameis Winston Monday night in Denver last year, lest we forget. Same thing with Jerry Jeudy. So, we like Kevin Stefanski. We consider him to be very fantasy friendly. A good offensive presence for the offense. If it's Dylan Gabriel week one, even if it's Flacco, like, I don't think I'm not. They're better than even a healthy Deshaun Watson, which that's not saying much. But like, I'm not super squeamish about Jerry Jeudy at that point, or David Njoku or whatever the rest. Between it looks like a crowded depth chart right now. We could be easily 100% in 6 months looking back like, we were worried about Dylan Sampson. We're idiots. He could just vanish. Either one of them could. I mean, Jerome Ford has been nice and answered the call with the Nick Chubb horrible knee injury, but either one of these guys could just disappear down the well and get the full Ty Chandler treatment. Like, okay, thanks, bye, fuck you. So, do we believe Quinshon Judkins is that good that he can eat the entire pie? I do. I absolutely do. And Yeah, in the AFC North, you just lost Nick Chubb for good. Who in the entire draft was a better, 1-to-1 replacement for Nick Chubb? You could argue Omarion Hampton. I would say Judkins. Personally, I think Judkins is the better player. So in the AFC North, you want to hashtag establish it. Yeah, you've got quarterback concerns. What helps any struggling quarterback? A good run game. Cleveland offensive line is middle of the road. They're not a liability, but they're solid. And Cincinnati and Baltimore were a couple of run funnels last year. Both those run defenses were pretty soggy. I love Quinshon Judkins here because between Sampson and Ford, there's a legitimate enough threat to his access to the third down work. I have to lean TreVeyon Henderson, but it's close. It's close. I mean, Quinshon Judkins will have more touches than TreVeyon. I will say that much.
Yeah,
what the
I'm going to correct myself. I wrote down the wrong notes for the show, man. But yeah, the Cleveland running backs did have over 240 carries. I think they were close to 391. So that makes me feel even better about giving Judkins that many carries for the season. So yeah, you're right. He's a talented player. The Browns love to run the ball. That's a part of their style, and I think he could be one of the top running backs out of the rookie class in 2025.
Between the four, I'll go Henderson, Jeanty, very close. Judkins very close behind that. And Hampton, the ceiling is up here with the Judkins, with even the Jeanty, but it's about timing. Will he put Najee away and win? We don't know. That's of the four, he's got the most legitimate threat to his workload for sure to me. So to me, I mean, that matters. God forbid Najee resigns in the spring. Oh my God. It'll be Trey Benson owners will have flashbacks to when James Conner gets re-signed by the Cardinals. Like, oh God, please. So yeah.
Yeah, I like how you're ranking them, but I have to put Jeanty above Hendo, bro.
Sure.
But I respect to Hendo. Next on the list, of course, is RJ Harvey, man, who shot up the draft boards with the landing spot, man. So, but his overall redraft ranking is 69. His running back ranking is 27. With the Broncos, he's another potential workhorse running back. It's possible they might add somebody, but I don't think Estime or what's his name, McLaughlin?
McLaughlin, yeah.
I don't think they add any competition to him. Sean Payton also has a history of utilizing his running backs. So, I mean, Will's up, man. I think he's another candidate for 200 plus carries and leading a decent Broncos offense. I said 200 plus carries, and you had an expression on that, man. What's your input?
I've been kicking it around for a couple weeks now. The old adage, whatever the cliche about, hey, when someone shows you who they are, believe them. What if after this season we look back at Sean Payton's last 5, 6, 7 years of body of work as a head coach and realize, oh, he was trying to tell us this whole time he does not believe in lead running backs anymore. Period. That is what he has shown us for the last several years. I mean, even Kamara at times struggled to control the backfield. Obviously, the receiving work for sure. If RJ Harvey is Alvin Kamara 2.0 and is a threat to catch 85 balls every year, all bets are off. He'll be just fine. It's almost impossible to know, and I don't think anyone thinks that's going to happen. So, through 2 seasons, Peyton has been hyper fluid. He was with Javonte Williams, Jaleel McLaughlin as a rookie, and then last year, Audric Estime randomly popped up for 14, 15, 16 carries once or twice before disappearing back into the freezer in the back of the restaurant.
To the abyss.
Yeah, exactly. So there's that, and then if they're really as unsure about Audric Estime, Jaleel McLaughlin as they appear to be, should be, I'm not sure that they're done at the running back position. Another running back could show up real easy. We know Rachaad White is on the trade block. We know Ramondre Stevenson could be, if the price is right. The Seahawks are shopping running backs. Travis Etienne is potentially on the outs in Jacksonville. There is a lot of talent available. running backs are going to be on the move at some point over the summer. Could be to Denver because, God forbid Harvey gets hurt. The Broncos are trying to contend. A real guy could show up here, and that makes me a little bit nervous where we could, get to like August 20th and all of a sudden, Denver has traded for Rachaad White, swapping day 3 picks in 2038. Like, shit, I was almost there, and now Rachaad White is here to fuck my whole planet. So that's the knock on Harvey for me, is that he really is vulnerable to a challenger approaches that we don't even see yet. But if that doesn't happen, then wheels the fuck up.
And these might be long shots, but we've mentioned these names already. We've mentioned J.K. Dobbins being a free agent. We've mentioned Nick Chubb still out there. And he came from a terrible a terrible injury. But, anytime I watch his workout videos, I'm like, maybe he still has a year left.
Sure. He was nails early on, and then he just, he ran out of juice. He hadn't run the football that much in like 6 years. So, against the Chiefs' run defense, the Raiders' run defense could round into form with Pete Carroll now. If it's like Harvey McLaughlin as your 1-2 punch, there's not a lot of grunt there. There's not a lot of size. Harvey's about 204, I think, and that's soaking wet. McLaughlin obviously much smaller. Where's your power? Unless you kind of get back in bed with Audric Estime. If you do, are we not talking about some sort of committee again right away? So, Harvey, it's riskier than we kind of want to admit to ourselves. I think it's riskier than we want to admit to ourselves right now as we start to climb the bell curve to peak hype season. So that's my one concern.
Respect that. Next guy on the list, Kaleb Johnson. Overall, ADP for redraft is 74, running back 30. So in some of my notes, I wrote, he's sharing a backfield with Warren. I do think he could be the 1A to Warren's 1B, but Warren's still going to be involved. He's a veteran. He's good on third downs. He protects the quarterback. But it kind of makes me wonder, Najee Harris on the Steelers last year had 225 carries for 1,403 yards. Do you think Kaleb Johnson just slides right into those 225 carries?
Probably pretty close. The Steelers, it's nice to have a team where they have, a cultural identity to their offense, to their defense that almost comes from the owner's box. We know that the Steelers have a mandate to run the football regardless of who is running the show, unless it's Todd Haley, and then apparently he gets to do whatever he wants until Big Ben gets him fired. Anyway, we know, death taxes and the Steelers wanting to run the football. There are certainties in life, and how much do they really want Jalen to eat? Why'd they go get Kaleb Johnson? Let's not overthink this. Kaleb is a bruiser. He's built like Ollie Gordon. He ate 240 carries last year, 1,537 yards on an Iowa team where the opposing defense knew it was coming 9 times out of 10. Unbelievable. He was very fucking good last year. They're going to use him. My question is it's easy to look at what Kaleb Johnson did last year. It's easy to look at him as a savior, as how did the NFL let the Steelers get this guy? Because the one thing that the Steelers could have used was a running back who can make chunk plays happen even when the opposing defense knows you are going to run the ball. That's a cheat code. That's magic. The NFL is different than college football. News alert! Breaking news! It's not quite the same thing at the pro level as it is when you're playing Iowa State. Sorry. What Kaleb Johnson did last year was amazing, but no running back can outrun the scheme, can outrun, his supporting cast. And it's looking like the best case scenario for Kaleb Johnson involves Aaron Rodgers, who is the least mobile quarterback in the NFL. He's less mobile than Matt Stafford, for crying out loud. That. You think so? Oh, he is. Oh, God. Oh, yeah. A lot of go back and look at the any time that teams got pressure on the Jets last year. Oh man, he looked like me when I first get out of bed after a hard day with the kids. It was bad. So that doesn't help the run game. Does not help the offensive line. The Steelers' offensive line already isn't great. What are we asking Kaleb Johnson to do? Come out and put up 1,200, 1,400 total yards in spite of his offensive coordinator being probably one of the 2 or 3 worst in the NFL. Even that might be charitable. And having a crap quarterback situation. You know, we like Roman Wilson, but, like, is he ready to be an NFL wide receiver too? I don't know. Like, there's a lot wrong here still. And I think Kaleb Johnson's going to be running into walls. I think he's going to be running into...
At the moment, because it could really still be Mason Rudolph or Will Howard. I mean...
for Kaleb Johnson's purposes, that is probably actually better, but it's not looking likely at least to start 2025. Yeah, he's set up like Saquon Barkley was the last, you know, or the middle part of his career in New York, where it's like good player, maybe even a great player, but his offense is just determined to hide that fact from the world. So it's hard. I'm thinking like 1,000 yards rushing, somewhere around there, 5 touchdowns, which is not. I mean, that's not terrible, but it doesn't win you the league. So that's where I'm at with it. And again, you can, you know, Devon Achane didn't run for 1,000 yards last year. He was a fantasy RB1 because he ate every single reception out of that backfield. Jaylen Warren is going to be on the field on 3rd downs. So all of a sudden, Kaleb Johnson, you've got an empty yardage salad where he's not catching balls and he's not scoring touchdowns. The Devin Singletary Buffalo special, that's no good.
Yeah, like the way you bring it up, it sounds like, hey, could be a good flex play, but not somebody you're like excited about year
Bingo.
one putting in your lineup.
Bingo.
Yeah.
Bingo. Or like whoever drafted him gets in redraft, whoever drafted him gets sick of it by week 5 and tosses him. Then you scoop him up being clever in like week 8 and like, now I'm flexing him on you.
I love those situations.
Yeah. So Kaleb is 5, or Kaleb is 6 out of the 6 for me, unfortunately.
The next guy to me is huge, like boom or bust for redraft. Travis Hunter, overall ADP 60, wide receiver number 28. With him, so here's one thing as I was kind of doing my research. So we all know Brian Thomas Jr. had an amazing rookie season. He had 1,282 yards, 10 touchdowns, right? No, and I know Trevor Lawrence was hurt through most of the season last year, so things are different. They got new staff in there, so things can change. But no other wide receiver came close at all to Brian Thomas Jr. I think the next person with the most yards was their tight end, whose name is escaping me at the moment. But
Mercedes Lewis is the tight end for the Jaguars.
No, not Mercedes Lewis, man. But like they drafted Travis Hunter. They moved up in the draft to get him, paid a heavy price. They said they plan to definitely use him at wide receiver, but they're still trying to use him at cornerback. So does that mean he might have like, I don't know, 60 to 70 receptions and 750 yards or something like that, or like limited upside with some big weeks, or is he going to be a more consistent player for your league to start every week? So definitely love the upside with him, but it is risky, man. Like what's your thoughts on that?
It's possible. It's absolutely possible. Like I don't think he catches 80 balls. I'm not going to ask that of him here, which, you know, 80 balls is not that much anymore. That's less than 5 a game if you play 17 games. So that's not great. But I'm gonna let the Jaguars. I'm gonna trust that what the Jaguars are telling me is in the vicinity of true, which is that new GM, new head coach, they go swinging dick with Travis Hunter. I mean, oh my God, they came roaring down out of the fucking balcony.
That was a big trade-up.
I mean, they hitched their fate potentially to Travis Hunter, unless they pull a Kyle Shanahan and like, well, we're winning Super Bowl, we're getting into the Super Bowl, even though we took Trey Lance, so you can't fire me. If they can do that, then fine. Travis Hunter can bust. Short of that, this needs to be the right call. So he's gonna get the opportunities at wide receiver. I am relatively confident. Are they going to let him play some defense, just kind of fucking humor him and all that? Yeah, probably. But at the end of the day, wide receivers get paid more than cornerbacks. By the way, guys, like Darius Slayton just got $40 million. Darius Slayton, okay? So, like, the wide receiver position is going to be the priority. look at the depth chart. If Travis Hunter's not on the field, Parker Washington or Dyami Brown are seeing significant snaps. They're promising potential players. But Dyami Brown is a 1-year prove-it deal from cast off from the Commanders, and Parker Washington they inherited from Trent Baalke. So I mean, clearly Travis Hunter is the plan here. Honestly, it's like it reminds me of the setup with Jordan Addison in 2023 with the Vikings and Calvin Ridley as a rookie with the Falcons. In that, yeah, there is a bigger, more talented alpha black hole target consumer type of receiver across from you. That frees you up. That gets you into soft, off ball coverage. That gets you into one-on-one man situations. And with Liam Cohen, a guy who I think we all trust to be capable of being creative enough with pre-snap motion and play design, route design to make to stress defenses to make it exceedingly likely that he's going to be wide open on a significant number of plays. I think the spike weeks are going to carry you with this guy in redraft. Is his volume going to be there? I don't think he catches more than like 80 balls. He could turn that 75, 80 balls into 1,200 yards. That's totally doable. Yeah. Trevor Lawrence has an arm. I mean, the numbers haven't been great so far, but you got to kind of discount the rookie season, and he's had injuries. I think he's fine for fantasy purposes, maybe even better than fine. And yeah, I mean, Travis Hunter is the wide receiver 1 in the rookie class to me, even for 2025. Like, there's no rookie receiver that has a better case to be made for them, I don't think, in terms of production over the next 17 games. Even with the cornerback uncertainty, look at how invested they are in this guy. It has to work. Yeah. It has to work. So yeah, I'm in on Travis Hunter as if you need the top receiver in the rookie class, then you need Travis Hunter for 2025.
I agree with that. And if we start getting to the redraft world, I think he's somebody that can definitely win you weeks and can kind of hurt you on some other weeks, man.
Oh, he will.
How I'm viewing him. But yeah, but I love the talent. Definitely love the talent. I wish he did commit to being 100% wide receiver, but he does have that, I guess that some could say that dog in him that he still wants to play cornerback and prove that he can play both ways. So
he wants that Shohei Ohtani money one day. That's what this is about.
Maybe
he might get it.
That's some good money right there. That's really good money. All right, the next guy. Let's get into Tetairoa McMillan. So overall, on the redraft ranking, 63, wide receiver 30. So some of the notes I put on here real quick, definitely should have wide receiver 1 potential on the Carolina Panthers, but we also need to remember it is the Carolina Panthers. So is Bryce Young taking that step forward like he showed at the end of last year, or does the offense kind of regress? It is a crowded wide receiver room. I mean, you have Thielen, you have Coker, you have Leggett, you have a bunch of guys trying to earn shares of the offense. And then sometimes a guy with his size and skill set could take a while to develop in the league. I mean, there's a history of that, right? But it is a real possibility that, maybe he's somebody that can average 70 to 85 receptions plus year 1 and 850 plus yards. So he's definitely a viable option if he hits. What's your opinions on Tet McMillan?
So a lot of people will point to the true fact that Bryce Young, obviously he gets benched after an off-the-charts terrible start to his 2024. I mean, it's hard to overstate how utterly lost and terrible Bryce Young was in his first 2 games. It was shocking. And they bench him. They hit the reset button. They go with Andy Dalton for a couple games, then they go back to him. Bryce Young had 3 top 10 finishes over the last 6 weeks of the 2024 season, which is a big part of why we're like, okay, maybe Bryce Young's a little bit of a sleeper here. Maybe we need to start putting some respect back on this young man's name. Adam Thielen was the crux of that rebound, period. Unequivocal. Adam Thielen gets healthy finally again in week 12. After he missed a bunch of time, he caught that touchdown and then his hamstring exploded or something against the Raiders. And when they knocked off the Raiders after the Raiders had just upset the Ravens the week before, NFL carousel of parody. So he missed a bunch of time. He comes back. he was the glue to the offense that helped them attain respectability down the stretch. His first full complement of snaps, week 13, he goes 8 for 99 and a touchdown, 9 for 102 the next week. Had 110 yards and 2 touchdowns in championship week against Tampa. That's a big part of why we're like, hey, Adam Thielen, maybe he's got something left. So I say all that to say that, yeah, Bryce Young got his act together down the stretch. That's true. He did not get his act together by pouring targets to boundary receivers down the sidelines of the field. He was trusting a veteran receiver in Adam Thielen to make him look good, and it worked. Adam Thielen is still there. It's a bit of a lazy comp, but like Keon Coleman's biggest problem is Khalil Shakir, because that's where Keon Coleman wants to exist on the football field, and Khalil Shakir just does it slightly better than him right now. That hurts.
Yeah.
Tet McMillan has that same problem now. The Panthers, whether they have Thielen or not, they would need his size. They would need the physical presence that he provides outside, because secondaries have to take that very seriously. A guy that big, you either need to put your best press man cover guy on him, or you need to think about bracketing that guy on a lot of plays. So, and never mind the fact that Thielen is still operating at a very high level. I mean, I pulled some of his advanced numbers, his metrics last season. He was fantastic. He was catching everything, and he was doing it down the field, even out of the slot. Like, he was very good. So let's keep in mind, the Panthers are owned by David Tepper. David Tepper's philosophy, period, is we are trying to win the Super Bowl every year. As psychotic as that is literally the mandate from the top down here. So as far as we know, Dave Canales thinks, okay, I need to go win games, or this could be it for me. So are they going to really funnel targets to a guy who's less ready in Tet McMillan just to make the pick look good, or are they going to go with Adam Thielen, a guy who was helping them hang in games, win a couple games last fall? That makes way more sense to me. And, I mean, yeah, obviously you're a big Leaguette guy. I'm very much unsold. Jalen Coker, there's a lot of Coke heads out there. Here's the thing. For a long time, and you started playing fantasy back then, you'll recall, for a long time the adage was, you can't trust rookie wide receivers. No, just don't do it. It's never worth it. And they would always disappoint.
We're spoiled. So
before that, it was you can't trust receivers until their third year. You got to wait for the third year breakout. The rise in production early on in their careers by first year, second wide receivers has dovetailed almost directly with the proliferation of 3 and 4 wide receiver sets and receivers seeing more targets lined up inside. For receivers that have to spend all their time, or the vast majority of their time, lined up, taking snaps out wide, it is much tougher to make a living early on in your career that way. Jamar Chase did it. He's Jamar Chase. Tet McMillan is not Jamar Chase. I think Tet McMillan has a real target and opportunity dilemma in 2024. I don't think he's going to be a top 30 wide receiver in fantasy over the first 8 weeks. He might not be a top 40 wide receiver over the first 8 weeks. Beyond that, we don't know. I mean, a young team like Carolina that, they're still finding their identity. As long as, he's not pissing off the coaches, they like what they're seeing from him in practice, anything's possible in October, November as the team makes the turn toward the home stretch. But early on, I don't see it.
No, I like that perspective, man. I do think he's going to be a big-time red zone target for Bryce Young. But you're right. Thielen has been that dude. I mean,
he's fantastic.
The wheels need to fall off eventually,
sure,
right? And I don't know if that's the season or not. But so far, he's been that dude.
That's the thing, is like over the next 17 games, could Thielen F around and play 14 games this year? Maybe. He was very good when he finally got right last year. Dynasty-wise, yeah, Tet McMillan is going to outlive Adam Thielen. But, Thielen could be good enough and healthy enough to hurt McMillan's dynasty stock over the next 12 months quite a bit, I think.
The other thing too, man, and I don't want to spend too much time on this, but they did pick up Hunter Renfrow, who's apparently finally healthy, and that's a guy that could probably steal some targets if he's actually healthy and on the field. And
Jimmy Horn is getting rave reviews, and he can really fly. So
Jimmy Horn's getting reviewed. Yeah,
they got some guys in Carolina. They got some guys.
Definitely,
it's Travis Hunter by a lot for me there between the two.
So the next guy we're moving on to is one of my favorite guys of the draft class. Maybe not one of my favorite guys redraft wise though. Emeka Egbuka, wide receiver 54, pretty far down the list. Overall, at 138.
He's 54 in
So
redraft right now.
some 54 in redraft, yeah. So in some of my notes, man, I wrote, of course, buried behind Godwin and Mike Evans. However, if Godwin doesn't start the season off right, or it's apparent that he's not himself, or if there's any other injuries in that wide receiver group, Emeka Egbuka rises up real fast. I
Sure.
think with him, it's about patience. Of course, when you're playing redraft, you can't always have that patience. In Dynasty, I love him. I love him. Like just store him on your roster, be patient, and if it happens earlier, great. Um, I think he's smooth, reliable. Like he does everything on the field that you want your wide receiver to, wide receivers to do. Loves to run block, etc. But yeah, I think it's going to take Mike Evans or Chris Godwin falling off, man, for him to be viable in redraft.
Yeah, I mean, I don't want to win jam too long on Egbuka. The problem that a lot of people will assume is the problem here, which is like, however much the Buccaneers love him, which they may love him. I mean, clearly, the player that was the highest rated on their board, regardless of need, which clearly signals, hey, the Buccaneers think that they don't really have a lot of holes and they can afford a kind of a luxury pick, and that they're going to be contenders either way. But also that move to me signals like, why do they think that they could just take whoever's available? They're fine with their roster as is. They didn't need somebody to come in and help them get over the top to go make a deep playoff run this year. They think they could do that as is. So yeah, Mike Evans, has he lost a step? Yeah, probably, but he's still Mike Evans. And Chris Godwin was phenomenal before he went down last year. Could he start slow in 2025? Yeah, sure. Coming back from his ACL a few years ago, really the whole year was kind of a little bit of a wash. His numbers were pretty weak. So, but yeah, there's too much competition. Jayden McMillan is still hanging around. We don't know how the Bucs really feel about him long term, but he's around. I mean, Trey Palmer's around. Cade Otton is still, on the fringes of, the top 12 or so tight ends in fantasy. So, yeah, somebody gets hurt, we can talk about him. Until then, he's a stash.
If Mike Evans or Chris Godwin goes down, this dude is in the waiver wires in redraft. Spend the fab. Speaking of Trey Palmer, man, I finally cut him in the dynasty, man. I was holding on tight, but I'm like, damn, man, they got Egbuka, they got McMillan. I don't think it's happening for this guy, but so I moved on.
Who was it that Trey Palmer allegedly got with once upon a time? That was like, okay, if this guy can pull that kind of that kind of female talent.
I don't know the story.
Next time you're talking for a while, I'll go look it up and figure it out. But Trey Palmer pulled a baddie at one point, and I was like, okay, this guy might have that dog in him.
Pulling baddies raises the ADP, man. It makes sense. 100%.
Exactly. It raises a lot of things. So, Egbuka, however you feel about him long-term in Dynasty, you need to kind of freeze that feeling about the player in Carbonite right now, because 2025 might challenge you how deep your love is when he comes out and catches 41 balls, 37 balls. Ooh, not so great.
Yeah. The next player we're going to get into real quick is the first tight end off the board in the NFL draft, Colston Loveland. Right now, he's looking like he's tight end 14 in a redraft and overall 123. So the notes I wrote down on him, man, he does get a little bump from Ben Johnson signing. I mean, we saw what Ben Johnson did with Laporta, but even with Ben Johnson there and all his capabilities on the offensive end, it's still so crowded. You have DJ Moore, you have Rome Odunze, you have Luther Burden. Like, I think if you picked up in redraft and let's say he only got like 40 to 55 receptions, maybe that equals like 450 to 600 yards, you're going to be a little disappointed. Like, he's not going to fulfill what you want him to as a starting tight end in redraft. I love him in Dynasty, but 2025, with all the talent on that team, I don't know if I see a pathway to being like a big time player in dynasty. I mean, in your redraft leagues at the moment.
Yeah, when the Bills took Dalton Kincaid in 2023, we were like, okay, well, Dawson Knox is just going to vanish down a mine shaft forever. He didn't. He did not go away right away. He was, Dalton Kincaid still managed a top 12 finish anyway on some kind of prolific volume before the Bills finally canned Ken Dorsey. But, wrongly canned Ken Dorsey, some might still say, but that's another matter. Yeah, Dawson Knox did not go away. Cole Kmet has a contract. Cole Kmet is in year, I think, 3 of a 4-year, $50 million deal. So unless the Bears release him or trade him, that's a little bit of a mandate to have some kind of role. So yeah, Loveland in 2025, just like Egbuka. If it's great, if he comes out and is fantasy relevant, great, enjoy. That's all things being equal. That absolutely may not happen. It's not going to happen early on. He's still recovering from shoulder surgery from an injury he suffered the tail end of last season. He missed all of OTAs. He's already behind, or will start to fall behind shortly. Yeah. So Loveland is a screaming candidate to start very slow in 2025. Ignore that. Focus on the draft capital. Focus on the fact that this guy was the first player taken in the Ben Johnson era in Chicago. And then try to swoop and scoop him up on the cheap in dynasty leagues a few months from now.
Yeah. And I think people forget, like, again, I'm going to use the word spoiled because we recently had Laporta, we recently had Bowers, etc. But sometimes tight ends take a while to develop. They do. And the fact that he's missing OTAs and all that, I mean, that's big time. So what if Cole Kmet is the week 1 starter and then Colston Loveland has to work himself in? Cole Kmet is a talented player, man. We were expecting him to be a breakout candidate, and it just didn't kind of work out. So
I will say, and I think Cole Kmet will be the week 1 starter. I will say, though, that the Laporta example is the avenue to relevance here. DJ Moore, Rome Odunze, Luther Burden, all great players. None of them are 6'5", though. None of them are 6'6". So, to the extent that Ben Johnson wants to, let a guy go box out a safety or a slot corner and just go up and velociraptor or go up and pterodactyl, a bullet over the middle for a red zone touchdown. Colston Loveland could be that dude. He could catch 30 balls and have 6 or 7 of them be touchdowns. That is possible, but even that is like, okay, that's real boomer busty. So yeah, I'm fading Loveland for now, unless Cole Kmet gets traded to who needs a tight end? I don't know. If Cole Kmet gets traded to the Jets.
Nothing's coming to mind. I mean, Jets just drafted they just spent a draft pick on oh my goodness
on Mason Taylor, but I'm not so sure. Like, Taylor. Is he really going to have a big receiving role, or is he going to be kind of a glorified blocker? I know we're thinking that he could catch 45 balls. I'm not so sure about that. Anyway, just an example. If Cole Kmet gets traded, changes the whole equation. All of a sudden, Colston Loveland is fantasy relevant right now, but until then.
Yep. The last guy we have on our list, who actually, I think you're the opposite of me, but I actually have him above Colston Loveland at the moment, is Tyler Warren. So he's fitting in at tight end 15 overall in ADP for redraft. Overall, player-wise, 126. So the notes I have for him, day 1 starter. He shouldn't have any competition in that room, in all honesty. Not at all. Nope. Nobody should be able to mess with him. He's a big-time red zone threat. I think the issue with him is, I mean, we heard the rumors earlier in the offseason about Anthony Richardson training with, oh my goodness, what's the name? Quarterback's coach? No,
but yeah,
Josh Allen's quarterback coach, and Anthony Richardson has some talent, some untapped potential. But does that training and everything he's doing this offseason translate to him being a viable quarterback for us to have finally some successful season from Pittman, from Josh Downs, from maybe Tyler Warren? So I put Tyler Warren's potential at maybe 45 to 60 receptions, 500 to 650 yards, maybe 4 to 6 touchdowns at the moment. But if A-Rich unlocks him, man, that could change. That could definitely change because he might be a good security blanket for A-Rich. I just don't know if he's going to if he's going to develop that much over the offseason, man. I hope he does.
So it's easy to look at all the Colts pass catchers, not just Warren, and knock them way down the boards, maybe even off the board altogether because, Anthony Richardson. I mean, It is possible that Jim Irsay dying complicates or changes the equation here.
Goodness.
But at last blush, don't worry, I'm not going to say anything inappropriate. At last blush, the Colts were signaling, Anthony Richardson, you need to get it together right now or we're going to move on. We're at least going to sit you down for a significant portion of 2025, the rest of 2025, if this crap is still going on in week 3, week 4. So it's fair for us to operate under the basic assumption that either Anthony Richardson's accuracy issues are going to significantly resolve, or he's going to be out and Daniel Jones will take over. Like the scenario where the Colts just let him play out the string, completing 46% of his passes, that's not plausible. That's not viable. So Colts quarterback, whoever it is going to have to complete more of his passes in 2025. That much I think we can say with high certainty. So there's that. But is either Anthony Richardson or Daniel Jones going to throw a lot of touchdowns? Absolutely not. I don't think either guy can throw 25 touchdowns playing all 17 games. I don't think that's realistic. But what I love about Tyler Warren's fit with the Colts is that more than maybe any other team other than the Eagles, at this point, maybe even more than the Eagles, the Colts' best case scenario is just basically being a rugby team and letting Anthony Richardson and Jonathan Taylor just do shit with the ball in their hands and just banging the ball 6, 7, 8, 9 yards down the field at a time. I mean, Anthony Richardson's not going to come out and run for 1,000 yards. But in the red zone, he's a real weapon. Obviously, Jonathan Taylor at all levels of the field is a real weapon. I think Tyler Warren as another guy who you can just kind of, we're going to see tight end screens. We're going to see jet sweeps to Tyler Warren. Tyler Warren's going to be involved in the run game to some degree. He could have some goal line touchdowns. That's totally plausible here, especially as they try to keep Anthony Richardson from popping his shoulder out of the socket again. So one way or another, Tyler Warren could Deebo Samuel his way to like 7 or 8 touchdowns. Now, will he catch more than 45 balls? I have no idea. I have no idea at all. But I think, especially if you're in for some reason, if you're in standard scoring or touchdown heavy scoring, Tyler Warren is a real guy that you got to really care about now, as crazy as it is to think about, in redraft. I absolutely prefer Warren over Loveland in terms of 2025 production. I think Loveland is more projectable over the long stretch. But I like Tyler Warren quite a bit. I mean, look what he did at Penn State. I mean, he was the offense as a tight end for a team that was in the college football playoff. I mean, a lot of people like Harold Fannin out of Bowling Green. They weren't in the college football playoff. The Nittany Lions were. So yeah, Tyler Warren was amazing last year, and I think he's going to have a real role. I have no idea exactly what it looks like. White Deebo Samuel, maybe, but I am eager to see. I cannot wait. So yeah, if you need production at tight end this year, Tyler Warren's the pick between the two. That's one of the either ors that we really needed to do this episode for, was Warren versus Loveland. If you're on the fence, 2025 production is your tipping point, your tiebreaker. Warren's your guy.
Tyler Warren, I agree. And I know this episode isn't really about this, but I love that you're bringing up Jonathan Taylor, because I think we need to get more respect on his name. I think he's falling down too many people's running back lists, and that dude is still one of the best running backs in the league, 100%. And the Colts are going to utilize him.
I mean, I gotta pull it up real quick to see exactly where he finished. But I had Taylor on a couple teams, and at the end of the season, he got hot at the end of the season, but still, has a guy had a quieter 1,500-yard, 12 touchdown season in NFL history than Jonathan Taylor is coming off of? I mean, on a team with massive quarterback issues, he ran for 4.7 a pop, 1,400 yards, 11 touchdowns, and was dominant all through the fantasy playoffs. Jonathan Taylor is still a legit player.
One of the best in the league, definitely.
Yeah, he could help Tyler Warren quite a bit.
So, Luke, let's not include Jeanty in this, right? Even though you're a little lower on Jeanty than I am at the moment, but For redraft purposes, who is or are your favorite rookie targets for redraft that we went over?
Love TreVeyon Henderson.
Me too. Okay.
Deep in like with Quinshon Judkins. The only thing that really concerns me is the general stink of the Cleveland Browns. And after that, Harvey. It's the running backs.
Yeah.
Hunter, I like Hunter too, but there's a real scenario where he doesn't crack the top 20 wide receivers season long because they just don't need him to, even though he has a good season. So yeah, the top 3 running backs. I'm gonna go with consensus, or the top 4, I guess, including Jeanty.
Yeah, it's kind of it's eye opening in a sense because I think clearly in Dynasty you're taking Jeanty and Hendo in most leagues over somebody like Judkins and definitely over Harvey. In the redraft, though I wouldn't bet against Jeanty, but it's possible that Judkins and Harvey finish ahead of a lot of these rookie running backs, like just because their situations, just because they're definitely the lead backs. So I think kind of Judkins stands out at a value that I'd be willing to take him at. And Harvey with the Broncos, unless we get some kind of signing in the near future, I mean, those are 2 guys that I would love to take a stab at in redraft. Rookie running backs have had a history of making impacts in redraft leagues, and they could sometimes tank you as well. I mean, I know Saquon Barkley definitely carried people his rookie year, so I mean, it makes it kind of attractive to draft a guy like Jeanty. But like on the more conservative end, especially like in leagues where I'm playing where money is on the line and things like that, I kind of want that more sure thing. But even though these guys are rookies, like taking stabs at guys like Judkins and Harvey, man, I'm all about that, man. I think those are guys that can move up the draft boards because of their potential and what they mean to their teams. So, yeah.
With a Jeanty, like a first round pick in redraft, I just can't justify it. Like he could clearly be one of the 2 or 3 best running backs in the league to the eyeball test and still finish as RB8 or RB9, which means he struck out on his ADP because going at 10th or 11th overall, he's like the 4th, 5th, 6th running back off the board at worst. So I mean, I don't hate the pick, but like it feels like you're kind of living in the past, living in that like 2005, even 2012 mentality of like rookie running backs win fantasy leagues. They haven't in recent years.
Case. In fact, like Bijan, not that Bijan had a bad rookie season, but if you took him at his ADP, you were not happy.
Yeah, you bled.
I remember that. So
you bled, and Gibbs scared the shit out of you in the first month of the season before the Detroit Lions effect kicked in. Jeanty does not get the Detroit Lions effect for the Raiders in 2025. Sorry, spoiler alert. So yeah, no. But Judkins, Harvey, Henderson at their ADPs because they're going to go significantly later, and they shouldn't. But in redraft, yeah, those are guys that you want to attack for sure. All right, Lou.
100%.
Next week is it time finally for our first Q&A episode. I think it is.
I would love that, man. I think we're gonna set up something in our fantasy index forum, man, and then let's tackle it. Let's do this.
We're gonna have dedicated space in the Fantasy Index Discord. A link to that Discord server will be provided in this video description down below. Also, if you don't want to mess with all that, you can actually just drop your question right here in the comments section of this video, and we will take it, snip it out so that your name can get up in lights on the video next week, and talk that question out live in our Q&A episode next week, episode 11 of Drinkin Dynasty with Lou and Lou. All right, buddy. Well, I gotta get to a mock draft in a 28-team, 2-copy IDP format on...
You just say 28-team?
28-team, 2-copy though. So two copies of every player in the league. I'm making all this up just to see the look on your face. I haven't gone to the dark side that hard yet, but yeah, I gotta go do some grown-up stuff. Good rapping with you, good drinking with you.
Always a pleasure, man.
Cheers.
Have a good night.
See you next week. See you fine folks next week for another scintillating episode of Drinkin Dynasty. All right.